and publicly how the HOA had overstepped its authority, how fines had been levied improperly, and how their own enforcement policies had been inconsistent at best, illegal at worst. Each statement landed like a hammer strike, echoing through the hall. The enforcers shifted uneasily, the board members' smug smiles were gone, replaced by red-faced anxiety. The energy in the room was electric, half anticipation, half disbelief. Then she revealed the final piece of leverage, a legal letter from an attorney confirming that any further enforcement of these invalid fines could be challenged in court, with potential personal liability for board members who continued to act outside their authority. The silence was deafening. You could feel the weight of the room pivoting, the scales of power tipping irrevocably. The board members whispered among themselves, desperate to regain some semblance of control, but it was too late. The momentum had shifted completely. But the climax wasn't just legal, it was personal. One of the board members, a man who had taken particular pleasure in our harassment, attempted a last-ditch effort, a condescending lecture meant to shame my wife into submission. She didn't flinch. Instead, she calmly recounted every instance of overreach, every petty complaint, every violation that had been improperly cited. Her voice didn't rise, but each word carried a weight that made the room lean in. By the time she finished, the man's face had turned pale, his words trapped in his throat. It was a public humiliation of the HOA's enforcer-in-chief, delivered with quiet precision. The neighbors reacted instantly. Some applauded softly, others murmured their agreement. The board members attempted to regroup, but the tide had turned. My wife had exposed the absurdity, the hypocrisy, and the pettiness of the entire system. The enforcers, once confident and intimidating, now looked like strangers in a room they had tried to dominate. The power dynamic had shifted entirely. And just as we thought the confrontation was over, a final twist arrived. One of the board members, desperate and flustered, attempted to introduce a new violation, a desperate attempt to regain authority. But my wife anticipated it. She had reviewed the community bylaws thoroughly and had the perfect rebuttal prepared. In one sentence, she dismantled the claim, citing the very rules the HOA claimed to uphold. The enforcers froze, the board members sputtered, and the room erupted not in chaos, but in stunned silence, followed by murmurs of disbelief and approval. At that moment, it became clear the HOA could no longer assert its petty control over us. Every threat, every fine, every attempt to intimidate had backfired spectacularly. The peak of their abuse had been met with precision, preparation, and quiet authority. My wife had not just defended our home, she had exposed